The wedding invitation slipped from my fingers and landed face down on the floor. I stared at it for what felt like an eternity because the bride's name was one I had whispered in my heart for years but never dared to say aloud. The memories came rushing back like a storm, the laughter, the teasing, the ordinary afternoons that had quietly become the most precious moments of my life. And among all those memories, one sentence echoed louder than the rest. I had laughed and said, "At this rate you'll never get married," expecting nothing more than another playful argument. She had looked at me with the gentlest smile I had ever seen and answered, "Then maybe you're the reason." At the time, I laughed it off. I thought it was just another joke. I had no idea she had been telling me the truth while I was too afraid to hear it. Before we continue this unforgettable journey, if you believe kindness deserves another chance and that love often hides in the smallest moments, please take a second to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Kind Heart Stories. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach people who may need hope today. Emma had lived next door to me for nearly 10 years. Our families weren't related, but life had quietly tied us together in ways that made us feel like we were. Every Saturday morning she watered the flowers outside her small white house while humming old songs her grandmother had taught her. Every Sunday evening we sat on the porch steps watching the neighborhood children race their bicycles until the sun disappeared behind the trees. Nothing about our friendship seemed extraordinary to anyone else, but to me, those simple routines became the safest place in a world that constantly changed. She was the first person to notice when I had a difficult day and somehow always knew exactly when to bring over homemade cookies or simply sit beside me in comfortable silence. Life had not been gentle with Emma. Her father passed away when she was still in college, leaving her to care for her aging mother while working 2 jobs. Dreams of traveling, opening her own bookstore, or finding love were quietly placed on a shelf she never reached for again. She never complained. Instead, she smiled through exhaustion, believing that some people were simply meant to carry heavier burdens than others. Watching her sacrifice so much made me admire her even more, but it also made me afraid. I convinced myself that someone as kind as Emma deserved someone better than me. So I buried every feeling beneath jokes, friendly conversations, and excuses. Years slipped away like pages turning in a book. Friends around us got engaged, celebrated weddings, and started families. Every few months someone would ask Emma why she was still single. She always smiled politely and changed the subject. One warm summer evening we were sitting outside eating ice cream after helping clean up a neighborhood charity event. I noticed another wedding announcement posted on the community board and laughed without thinking. I teased her by saying that at this rate she would never get married. She didn't laugh immediately. Instead, she looked directly into my eyes with a smile that carried both hope and sadness. Then she quietly replied that maybe I was the reason. I chuckled awkwardly, assuming she was simply teasing me back, and quickly changed the conversation. Looking back now, I realized that was the exact moment everything could have changed if I had only been brave enough to ask what she truly meant. After that evening, something shifted. Emma remained kind, but there was a quiet distance in her smile that hadn't been there before. She stopped lingering on the porch after dinner. She no longer knocked on my door just to borrow sugar she clearly didn't need. The little moments we once shared slowly disappeared, replaced by polite waves across the driveway. I noticed the change, but instead of asking why, I convinced myself it was just life becoming busier. Fear has a strange way of disguising itself as common sense. Months later her mother became seriously ill. Emma spent nearly every waking hour at the hospital. I wanted to help, yet I never knew how. So I did what felt safest. I delivered groceries anonymously, mowed her lawn before sunrise, and fixed the broken fence while she was away. I thought my actions would speak louder than words. But kindness without honesty can still leave important things unsaid. She thanked me warmly every time, yet the distance between us remained. When her mother finally passed away, the entire neighborhood gathered for the funeral. Emma stood beside the flowers looking impossibly small beneath the weight of grief. After everyone left, I found her sitting alone on the porch where we had spent countless evenings together. For the first time in years, neither of us pretended to be strong. We spoke about loss, loneliness, and the strange silence that fills a home after someone you love is gone. Before I left that night, she squeezed my hand and thanked me for always being there. I almost confessed everything I had hidden for years, but once again fear stole my voice. Time continued moving forward. Emma eventually reopened her mother's tiny flower shop, transforming it into one of the warmest places in town. People didn't just come for flowers, they came because she remembered birthdays, anniversaries, and the names of children they had mentioned months earlier. Watching her rebuild her life filled me with pride, yet it also reminded me that I was still standing still. I had become an expert at loving someone quietly while pretending I wanted nothing more. Then one rainy afternoon, I found the wedding invitation tucked inside my mailbox. My heart sank before I even opened it. The elegant envelope carried Emma's name in beautiful handwriting. I felt as though I had lost something I had never even tried to claim. That evening I walked aimlessly through the neighborhood, replaying every missed opportunity until I reached the old park where we used to watch sunsets. I finally admitted the truth to myself. I hadn't lost Emma because someone else loved her more. I had almost lost her because I had spent years expecting her to understand feelings I never had the courage to express. The next morning I forced myself to knock on her door. She welcomed me inside with the same gentle smile I had always loved. My hands trembled as I held up the invitation and asked if it was true. She looked surprised before laughing softly. She explained that it wasn't her wedding at all. She had been asked to design flowers for a friend's ceremony, and the invitation had accidentally been delivered to my mailbox because the addresses were nearly identical. Relief washed over me so powerfully that I couldn't hide it anymore. Before fear could interrupt again, I finally told her everything. I admitted that I had loved her for years, that I remembered every small act of kindness, every shared sunset, and especially the day she told me I was the reason she had never married. Tears filled her eyes, not from sadness but from the exhaustion of carrying hope for so long. She confessed that after saying those words years earlier, she had waited every day for me to understand. When nothing changed, she decided she couldn't keep waiting forever, even though part of her never stopped believing I would eventually find the courage. We both laughed through our tears at how two people could care so deeply and still spend years trapped by silence. Their story did not become extraordinary because of grand gestures or perfect timing. It became unforgettable because two ordinary people finally chose honesty over fear. The porch where they had shared countless ordinary evenings became the place where they promised to never again assume the other person already knew what was in their heart. Sometimes love isn't lost because it isn't real. Sometimes it simply waits for someone to stop being afraid. Special request: before the story ends, tell us in the comments, have you ever waited too long to tell someone how you truly felt, or did you find the courage before it was too late? If this story touched your heart, reminded you of someone special, or gave you hope that it's never too late to speak honestly, please like this video, share it with someone who needs this message today, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Kind Heart Stories. Your support keeps these heartfelt stories alive and helps spread kindness, love, and second chances to people all around the world. Because sometimes, the smallest words spoken at the right moment can change an entire lifetime, and the greatest love stories are often the ones that begin with a joke but end with two hearts finally finding their way home.